Good morning, everybody. This is Terry, the Teddy Bear Trucker, signing on once again to give you a recap of my second week at Schneider National training over the road with my TE training engineer. It's been a very intense, hard, but exciting week. A lot of driving in bad weather, snowstorms, mountains, small rural towns out in the middle of nowhere. But I learned a lot, and it was a very exciting week. I had a great trainer, Bill, cool guy, stickler for safety. One of his main pet peeves is mirror scans. Schneider's policy is you do mirror scans in a circuit every 6 to 8 seconds for safety. You're scanning for other vehicles on the road, obstructions, hazards, but it's literally every 6 to 8 seconds while you're behind that wheel. So it's like left mirror and window, left fender mirror, front, right fender mirror, right mirror and window, front, dashboard. And you repeat that every 6 to 8 seconds. If you do not, that trainer is on you, man. They counted against you. So needless to say, the entire week I was out there, my neck was literally like, I thought my head was going to spin around. But I understand why they do it, and I understand why it's a good safety practice. So my training didn't start until Monday night, the 8th. My trainer didn't get to me until about 6:30, 7 o'clock that evening. But we rode straight through from Monday evening until yesterday, Friday afternoon. So let me give you a quick recap of where I've been and my total week. So on the 8th, day one, I drove from Carlisle, Pennsylvania to Monroe, Pennsylvania, and did 112 miles behind the wheel. Now, before I get into that, I want to say that my trainer only drove the first 30 miles of this week, plus another 120 or so miles while I caught up on some paperwork and did some studying. The rest was all me the whole week. So let me continue. As I said, Monday, the 8th, I went from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, where the terminals are located, to Monroe, Pennsylvania, and shut down for the night on the side of the highway, literally on an exit, emergency exit, right on the side of the highway. I was 112 miles driven, and for my 10-hour rest break, you literally heard all the traffic on the highway, trucks going by, and I had to try and sleep through that. So it was trial by fire the very first day. Day two, the 9th, I continued from Monroe, PA to Medina, Ohio, and then we had a drop off there, and then we continued to Brookville, PA before shutting down for the night. So I drove that day a total of 198 miles. Day three, we went from Brookville, PA to Kearney, New Jersey, then back to the terminal, Carlisle, my home terminal, for a total of 502 miles that I drove that day. Day 4 to 11, went from the terminal again to Warrensville, Ohio, back to Ohio, then Old Forth, Ohio, for a total of 440 miles that I drove that day. And then finally on day 5, we went from Old Forth, Ohio, and came back to the terminal in Carlisle, where my trainer dropped me off. And I drove a total of 372 miles that day. So between the 5 days that I was on the road, well, technically, was that 3 nights and 4 days on the road, I drove a total of 1,624 miles. All me. That was all me. That doesn't include the 30 miles that my trainer initially drove to show me what he expected of me, or the 29 miles or so that he drove while I studied. That 1,624 miles was all mine to do, okay? On top of that, of that 1,624 miles, 52 of them were city miles. And I'm not talking about like cities like New York. I'm talking about like little towns, townships, and narrow roadways, and 30 mile, 25 mile an hour zones, and intense. And all this through the middle of snowstorms and high winds. It was intense, but it was a great learning experience. I got to do a lot of mountain ascending and descending, utilizing engine braking, snub braking, and I put all the techniques that I learned week 1 to use during this week, and I'm glad I learned it. Like I said, this training program is by far the best I've ever went through. So total driving hours for this week were 33 hours and 53 minutes of driving. That's behind the wheel. That doesn't include my brakes. That doesn't include my mandatory inspections. The 33 hours and 53 minutes was just my driving time this week. And my average miles per gallon was about 6.46 for the week, which is pretty good. The one thing I have to say about week 2 in difference to week 1 was week 2 I was driving a totally different truck than I trained on week 1. Week 1 at the training academy, they drove Columbias, Freightliner Columbias, and Century class trucks. But week 2 with my trainer on the actual driving over the road, he drove a Freightliner Cascadia, which has a slightly different shift pattern than the ones that I trained on week 1. So I had to learn how to shift his truck a little differently. But I got it down. By the end of the week, I was shifting like a pro. So, the things that my trainer still wants me to work on is my backing. See, with my backing, my setups, I'm doing very good on my setup. But what he says is that I'm overthinking my backing, and I need more confidence in my own ability. He says I have it in me to do it, and I know what to do. I just need to have more confidence in actually doing it. And he said that'll come with practice, which the short time that we had, I didn't get to do a whole lot of backing. I only had to back about 7 times this week. But with practice, it'll get better. I'll have more confidence in myself, and things will get better over time. So I'm back at the Sleep-In in Carlisle, and I'm off until Monday, which I'll start week 3. And hopefully it won't be as hectic, and I'll be able to give you the day-by-day video log and tell you guys what's going on. So 2 weeks down, 1 week to go, and I'll be on the road, baby. Keep on trucking. So I want to thank you all for all your support, and stay tuned. This is Terry, the Teddy Bear Trucker, signing off.